Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webcast. My name is Maria Pinilla. I am a business intelligence and analytics consultant here at Thorogood. I'm currently based in the UK, and I am also part of the Tableau capability team. And joining us today, all the way from Bangalore, India, will be Sunaina. And together, we will be discussing how to apply the power of Tableau to your data governance strategies. So first of all, for those of you who are not familiar with Thorogood, we are a specialist independent business intelligence and analytics consultancy. We operate globally with offices in the UK, the US, India, Singapore, and Brazil. And we have vast amount of experience delivering solutions right from helping to shape the initial scope and requirements through to delivery and support. As I mentioned, we are an independent consultancy, meaning we partner with key vendors in the BI space. Some of these vendors are Databricks, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, among others. But for the purpose of today's webcast, will we be focusing on Tableau? So now that we've done quickly the introductions, let's have a look at today's agenda. So we will be talking about the key aspects to consider when building a data governance strategy. And then we will move on to talking about how to understand and manage the options that Tableau has for security implementation and licensing. And then we will move on to a short demonstration of the Tableau online products and the Tableau management add-on to see how we can actually bring any data governance strategy to life in an organization. But first, let's start by introducing the topic of data governance and actually the need for data governance. So as organizations embrace digital transformation agendas and really start to power self-service analytics, they also start to engage in a data-driven journey that, let's say, reshapes business models, drives customer experiences, and also accelerates business intelligence adoption. Market dynamics really and advances in technology and business modeling, more importantly, open the doors to companies to explore extensive data sources. And with that, it comes the challenge of managing ever-increasing volumes of data, securing it, and ensuring the right people has the right access to it. And that's when data governance comes into play. It comes into play as the process of managing the availability, the usability, the integrity, and the security of data in any enterprise systems. But a good data governance strategy must allow for trusted data to be provided in real-time speed. And this is essential for anyone who wants to lead their organization into the future, really. With that, it also comes the assessment of what right tool or what right technology can help deploy such strategy smoothly, just to foster the value-driving benefits of digital transformation and really of any self-serve analytics strategy. It is usually the case that companies begin the process of interacting with data by selecting a data source, then by transforming and curating it, and then by sharing it so that analysis and data stories can be built on top. But who does what and how it is done is actually what data governance is concerned with. But to overcome the fears that data governance or any data control policies would slow down business processes or hinder any synergies, first we have to do a study of the structure and flow of data in an organization. And that is what its data needs are, who the stakeholders are, and what role and data literacy level each possesses, as well as what technology is actually available to them. And this is so because data governance is a structure based on relationships. And this is a key point to actually acknowledge, because it is a structure that would ensure that there is an agile and strong relationship between both IT and the business, and that it is based on trusted quality data and shared responsibilities, most importantly. So it is usually the case that we would find three main personas under the broad, let's say, IT business umbrella of interactions that take place in a company, and these being IT or BI professionals, information consumers, or content creators. So it is usually the case that IT or BI professionals are the ones that take care of governing and protecting data. So they are in charge of the first part of data flows in an organization. Then we would find content creators whose role is to surface the value of that data. And then we would have information consumers who are the ones that actually act upon data. However, we need to acknowledge that every organization is different, as also every use case is different. So we can actually work along the spectrum to establish three primary governance models that depend on the fluidity of the barriers to data access and data management, and of the barriers across those three main personas that we have just described. And so we can actually find these three models being centralized, delegated, or self-governing data governance models. Going a bit into detail of each of them, in a centralized model, IT or another authority owns data access and produces data sources and dashboards for business consumption in a one-to-many manner. And by this, we mean that we would actually find a small number of creators versus plenty of information consumers. And it is actually a governance model that is required for maintaining control of highly sensitive data, or to address the skill gaps among the target audience, or also, for example, it's a well-suited scheme for organizations that are transitioning from a traditional top-down analytics approach driven by IT, or who are actually favoring a phased delegation of responsibilities towards a governed self-service model. In the middle of the spectrum, however, we would find a delegated model. So in a delegated governance model, new roles are being introduced outside IT or the central authority, and actually content creators and IT's boundaries blur and create what we call data stewards. So data stewards now have a different kind of responsibility. They might have direct access to sources of data and the creation of dashboards, but most importantly, the processes to validate, to promote, and to certify content are introduced across all teams, as well as IT becomes the shift from a provider of reports to actually an enabler of analytics. All the way down the spectrum, we would find self-governing models. So here we find the strongest relationship actually between IT and business users. So certified content and data sources are available to information consumers who actually now become a part of the well-defined process of validation, promotion, and certification. And the boundaries become very fluid across IT and business users. We actually start seeing something that we call a data citizen. So that is someone that has both rights and duties over data. And this type of schema would be the zenith, let's say, of self-serve analytics. But this is not to say that any of the previous presented schemes, either centralized or delegated, do not support companies in their digital transformation agendas. It just means that the user becomes more globalized in the way they drive insights and interact with the data that's available to them. Even though organizational boundaries, as we said, may get blurred and may result in either one of the three governance models, all of the just mentioned models actually are concerned with what we call the four main pillars of a governance strategy, them being data quality, data security, data stewardship, and data transparency. So actually each of them may be more or less related to a specific persona, but it is a must for a good governance structure to work to actually follow a stepped approach to each of them. So meaningful actions driven from analysis are not possible without accounting for a transparent process in which both quality and security are ensured, and where actually each of the personas are accountable for ensuring that the whole process is indeed transparent, of quality, and secure. Here's the big question: how can we actually ensure that these relationships work easily and smoothly, and how to harness the power of technology to ensure that data is of quality, is accessible, and it's secure throughout an organization? Well, as with any digital transformation strategy, really, it is key to choose the right tool for the right purposes. So, long a leader in this space, Tableau makes it easy for IT department and team owners to fall into any side of the spectrum that we just described, with an extensive range of products available, right from a desktop solution to community deployments on server or on cloud, Tableau allows business owners to manage their own analytics workspace and enables them to have the level of flexibility needed and fit into any of the three governance models, or really anywhere in the spectrum, by also fitting into any architecture already present in the company and attending to the security needs of IT or of any other group. And it helps to do so by relating the different levels of data literacy and exploration to different levels of licensing. So we actually find three different license types, them being creators, explorers, and viewers. And once companies define where in the organizational spectrum they sit, they can actually use Tableau's hierarchical licensing model to apply their governance strategies. Also, Tableau helps to ensure that any data governance strategy is well suited to the principles of self-serve and data exploration, with the use of the Tableau management add-on, which can be found on server or online. So the Tableau management add-on is formed by the Tableau Prep Conductor and by the Tableau Catalog, and it helps companies to deploy any governance strategy while ensuring the accuracy of data driving users' decisions is backing up each of the persona's responsibilities. But let's see a bit more in detail how this is materialized and what functionalities each of the Tableau products offer to ensure agility, security, and transparency. So to start from the beginning, any data strategy must breed really from a source of quality. So data source and metadata management include processes related to the selection and distribution of data, as well as data mapping or consolidation or the removal or control of duplicate data. There are processes really concerned with questions such as these. So for example, will you connect live or will you extract the data? Do variants of the dataset exist? And actually, without these processes, there would be a proliferation of duplicate data sources. There would be a higher likelihood of errors, and there would also be a higher consumption of server or cloud resources. But actually, with the Tableau data management add-on and Tableau catalog, you can communicate data quality issues to your users to increase visibility and trust in your data. And also, you can index all content and create quality certificates to reassure the user that the data they are manipulating is actually the right one. However, one of the main tasks of any data-driven organization is to empower business users to interact and use their data while also ensuring that data is secure and, more importantly, that the right permissions are given to the right people on the right data. So with Tableau, users can access data via desktop, mobile, or web, and actually the data security permissions need to be customized to comply on the one side with any local authority regulations, but also with any sensitivity policies that happen in the company. By answering questions about how do you classify data according to sensitivity, IT administrators can leverage the power of Tableau and have the flexibility to implement security within databases, projects, workbooks, with database authentication both on server or online, or actually used a hybrid approach of both the company's own security architecture and Tableau's rule set as it's been defined by the Tableau license type. Furthermore, you can also create user filters and that can be set in order to control and show users only the data that they need to see based on their Tableau server credentials. And this is what we call low-level security. But now the next pillar of data stewardship is really what materializes the fact that data governance is an enterprise-wide effort that needs one or more captains to captain the ship. But data stewardship includes monitoring and measuring of the efficacy of data governance. So from data ingestion to refreshes, monitoring is actually a key piece of the self-service model, as it actually allows IT and administrators to understand how data is being used, and more importantly, be proactive and responsive about usage, performance, data connectivity, refresh failures. And it is tasked with considering questions such as are data sources being used, by whom, how does this compare to the plans that we had, or the audience size, So actually with Tableau, administrators can use the full administrative views for monitoring the status of extract refreshes, data source utilization, and can also create delivery subscriptions and alerts. And in Tableau Online, site administrators have access to what we call a monitor site activity with the full admin views and can also create their own views to investigate a bit more who is getting access to what. Also, another feature of the Tableau management add-on is the Tableau's lineage, part of the Tableau catalog. And what this does is it traces the source of your data, and you can use it to analyze the impact of changes in your data or just see how anything in your data source is related to each other. All of the policies and procedures that you develop according to the pillars should just ladder up to a system of transparency. Just so that we are able to really enjoy the benefits of a sound data governance strategy. So data stewards and governance leaders should inform their team members of how and why they govern the data and what they do. But to get everyone to support the process, they first need to understand it themselves. And for that, it needs to be transparent. So transparency will actually bring the various personas together in a data discovery journey that supports the confidence needed in your data systems and in the data itself to perform the analysis needed in a way that it's accounted for and trusted by everyone. Now, I will pass the helm to my colleague Sunaina, who will actually show us a brief demo on how to apply the power of Tableau to data governance strategies.
Thanks a lot, Maria, for the great presentation. Hello, everyone. So now we will look at how we can implement the governance strategies on Tableau by using the inbuilt functionalities. So in order to get started with it, we will go to the Tableau website. All right, so this is the Tableau online site. And as you can see, we have the navigation pane on the left hand side where we can go to the home page, we can explore, we can go to the favorites or the most recent workbooks that we have looked at or anything that is shared with you, probably you can access it over here. So in order to move to the folder in which we are going to look at the features, we will go to the explore option over here and go to the Tableau governance demo. All right, so inside this folder, we can see that we have both the workbook and data sets provided for us. So we will go inside the Tableau demo workbook. So once we are here, what we can see that is that we have both the dashboards and the sheets are available and they are coming, which are the part of the workbook. So from here, we can go to lineage. So lineage is one of the attributes that we did discuss in the presentation. The way you navigate to lineage depends directly on the field that you are dealing with. So in this case, as we are dealing with the workbook, we can see that on the right of the right of the pane, the workbook is highlighted in blue. So the highlighted selection is the anchor that we are dealing with. Anything that comes below the selected anchor are the items which are directly or indirectly dependent on the item which is selected. And anything that is coming on top of this are the items on which the anchor is directly or indirectly dependent on. So in this case, a workbook has dashboards. There are 2 dashboards, and in turn, there are 9 sheets that are directly or indirectly dependent on the workbook that we are dealing with. The workbook, on the other hand, has around 105 fields. So these fields have been created as a part of this workbook. And as we can also see, there is the dataset information. This is the information regarding the data set or the data source that has been embedded into the workbook. As we go onto the top over here, we see that there are 6 tables on which the workbook that we are dealing with depends on. Similarly, from the tables, we can also navigate to the databases. And that shows that the 6 tables that we did look at are dependent on sales.csv database. So this is how you can look at the lineage portion of a particular workbook. And in case, say, you are an author of a workbook, this really helps you in tracing that what all fields have been used in the workbook. And in case you are a user and you would want to know that from where a particular visualization is fetching all the data from, you can simply come to the lineage page, look at these options, and get to know the answers to all your questions. So in order to look at the second thing that we discussed during the presentation, we will get right inside the dashboard, which is the company sales dashboard. So the feature that we would be looking at over here is the data details pane. So we can simply navigate to the details pane from here. So as we see, what we see over here, the first one is the sparkline view of the number of users who have visited the dashboard in the span of last 12 weeks. Following that, we have the information about the dashboard. So something like the workbook name, the project name, the author name, and also the date when it was modified. Following that, we have the data sales information in which we get to know about the data set that has been used, what is the connection or what is the data source the data base connects to, and also the last date when the data was last refreshed on. So now think about a situation when you were anticipating data refresh to happen, say, on 1st of September, and you wanted to see some change in the numbers which was based on that data refresh. And when you came on to the dashboard today, say, which is on 3rd of September, you still see that the numbers hasn't really changed. So probably you might want to question the fact that is it the data refresh hasn't really happened, or is it that it has happened, but my data hasn't changed at all? So in order to answer those questions in such tricky situations, you can simply go to the data details tab, look at the last refresh date of your data source, and you will get to see the last date on which it was refreshed. And it really comes handy when you want to answer such questions, when you are not really sure of the last date the data set were refreshed on. Below that, we do see that there are different fields that are used in the particular particular dashboard. So if you remember when we were discussing lineage, we did see there were around 105 fields that were used entirely in the workbook. Out of those 105 fields, 15 fields have been used inside this dashboard. So if you will go and say click onto any calculated measure, you can simply go and look at the calculation, the underlying calculations that has been used in the dashboard. So that makes it really easy for you to understand the logic on which your dashboard has been built. So this was navigating to data details and understanding how we can retrieve all the information that we want to know about the dashboard that we are dealing with. So now moving from the data details to the data quality warning. So in order to understand more about the data quality warning, think of a situation when you would want to highlight your users about a data discrepancy that you are currently facing. So there could be some cases when, say, your data is deprecated or the data is under maintenance, or for that matter data that the users are dealing with is a certain kind of sensitive data, and you would want your users to be aware of all of these things. In those cases, the data quality warnings comes really handy. So I have navigated to the sales.csv data set from the dashboard itself. Before we jump into how do we implement data quality warning, I would like you to look at the lineage pane for this particular data set. So I will be revisiting the point where I mentioned the way you navigate to lineage depends entirely on the field that you are dealing with. So in this case, we see sales.csv comes onto the top, and we have a workbook, which is the Tableau demo workbook. There are 9 sheets, 2 dashboards, which are dependent on the current item that we are dealing with, which is the sales.csv data set. Another important feature to note over here is the owner information. So think of a situation when probably we know that there is a data change that we have done in the data set, and we would want the owner to of their particular data set to be aware of the changes that we have done, and we do not really have the owner information as such with us at any other place. So we can simply go to this owner over here, look at the owner name, to click on the checkbox and simply click on the send email, put out a subject, write a message, and whatever information that you would want the owner of the data set to know will be forwarded to the owner. And that way we can always keep the owners as well updated with the changes that we are doing with the data sets and the data sources. So this was the revisiting part of the lineage. Now coming back to the data quality warnings, we will see how that is implemented. So as we can see, there is an ellipse over here. We will just go there, click onto the data quality warning, and the data quality warning dialog box appears. The first checkbox that we see over here is enable warning. So as soon as we tick that checkbox, we see that the warning type has been highlighted. So depending on the kind of warning that you would want to generate, if it's just a regular warning, or if your data is deprecated, or if it's stale data, or just in case your data is under maintenance, probably you can just pick the type depending on the issue that you're dealing with. So for an example, we will be picking up under maintenance this time. The next checkbox that we see over here is enable high visibility. So what really happens when we check this box is as soon as you land onto the dashboard that is based on the data source that we are dealing with, it gives you a banner. When I say a banner, as soon as you land into the dashboard, it just tells you that currently the data source of this particular dashboard is having this data quality warning. And in case you have any message over here, something like the data set is under maintenance, something like that. If required, you can always give an ETA or something like that so that your users are well aware when it will be available again. So we'll simply do save over here. It will just take a few seconds. Meanwhile, we'll also refresh the dashboard so that we can see how the changes are coming onto the dashboard. Now, as we can see, there is a warning that is coming on top of the data set that we are dealing with, which says under maintenance. Because we've highlighted, we have checked in high warning visibility, we can see that there is an exclamation in the color yellow. In case we do not check it, the color will be blue over here, and instead of a triangle, it's going to be a circle. Also, it tells you exactly that what is the data set for which the warning has been generated, who has set the warning when, and also the message that wasn't optional in this case. But yes, it's always good to give out a message so that your users are well aware of any information that they need to know about the current warning that you have in place. Let's get back and see how her dashboard has been impacted. So as you can see, there is a banner that is coming which says important data quality warnings affect this view. So this really tells your user about the warning that you have created, and they already know before, as soon as they land onto the page, there is some issue with the data. So we can just go to the open data details pane again and see how the pane has changed. If you would notice, there is a new warning slot that has come to the information portion. So we can just click on it and we can again see that it tells you about a data set, which is under a warning, who it was set by, the date it was modified, it was set on, and also the message that we have given. In this case, the data set is under maintenance. So this is how we can use data quality warnings in order to ensure that our users are well aware of any changes or any current issues that we are facing with our data, and so they're well aware and they are using the dashboard in the correct manner. So after covering the lineage, data warnings, and data details, we'll move to the third feature, which is user filters. Let's think about a situation where you are creating dashboards for a category manager, rather multiple category managers, and you would want to show them only the right kind of data. When I say the right kind of data, I mean, if I am dealing with skincare, then I would want the manager with skincare who deals with skincare to have access to that data only, and probably not to other categories that are present. So how do we ensure this happens? So for that, we will be jumping to the Tableau desktop app. So in order to implement user filters, we will have to navigate to the sheets. So let's go to the sheet over here. All right. So we go to the server. From here, we go to create user filter and say now we would want to create a user filter for a category. So we go over here and it will just come up. Yes. And now we can give it a personalized name, depending so that it's meaningful. So let's say this is skincare. All right. So now say I would want this particular user to have access to only skincare data. So I would say, I would tick mark skincare and I would simply say okay, and it will save the user filter. Now, in order to implement this particular filter on the view, I will have to go over here and search for the filter again. And I can simply take this filter, drag it into the filters pane, and it will bring change to the visualization that I'm dealing with. So you simply have to just go back to your dashboard, then save it and deploy it on the server, and you are good to go. You can see the user filters in action, and depending on the Tableau login ID the user is logging with, they will get to see the right kind of view that is associated with their level of permissions. So this is how, or this is a short glimpse of how we can govern our data using Tableau and its functionality. We hope it was really helpful for you. Now, next we would say, so as we have seen how data governance is nothing but the translation of organizational structures into technology enablement. It is underpinned by four main principles that, if respected, will help organizations thrive in their data discovery journey with total trust and confidence. If you would like to learn more about data governance or about how Tableau can help you fit a strategy to your structure, or in general, how can we help you with your business intelligence and analytics solutions, please feel free to get in touch with us. Our contact details are on the screen. And again, in case you have any questions, feedback, suggestions, or anything about this webcast, or anything about Tableau, or the kind of work we do, then please feel free to reach us out. These are our contact details. We'll be very happy to hear from you. We really hope you enjoyed today's session. Have a very great day ahead. Thank you so much.